All right. I do believe we are live in five, four, three, two, one. Welcome, wizard, warrior, wanderer, wayfarer, and wildcat alike. This is an open lines, open chat panel discussion. What's the meaning of life? With your host for the hour, Frater Francis Lunas Aristeas of the OTA. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are, whenever you are, whoever you are and whenever you are receiving this transmission. I am broadcasting from Twilight Zone, Old Peking, deep within the central kingdom of the celestial dragon. It is 12:30 p.m. We got started a little bit later than I wanted to, which is okay. Doing a little Father's Day Sunday brunch with my kids and my wife, and they headed out to go to the shopping mall and possibly buy me a gift. That would be lovely. I would appreciate it. I remind everyone to please hit the thumbs up, like and subscribe, all that happy stuff that makes YouTube's algorithms bark like Pavlov's dog. You can check me out on buymeacoffee.com. I try to write at least one or two essays per month that I send out over that platform. You don't have to be a member to view the content I have up there, but a one-time donation will make you a lifetime member and you'll be on the mailing list. So thank you for that. With that in mind, I just want to say that the time is now to get started on challenging yourself to build a better life and a better future. One way I'm trying to do that on this channel is by the 100-day challenge, and I come up with two a year, one that starts at the spring equinox and one that begins at the autumn equinox. And I enjoy the participation of community and friends taking part with that. With me on that, because that makes it way more enjoyable. With that, before we start today's show, I did want to mention a couple of things real quick to kind of get us in the mood for talking about life. Let's see. I'm going to have to share my whole screen because I'm on the free version of StreamYard. So real quick, I'm going to juggle a couple of things. Domenico is here with us today, so I'll get to you in just a second, my good man. I want to start off by reading this quote from Eliphas Levi. As you guys know, I like to study Hermetic sciences, and this one is one that touched me when I was really young. It says, the great work, because I was always hearing about the great work from Freemasons and esoteric Rosicrucians and all these other secret societies around the Southern California area. They're very active there. And they say the great work is, before all things, the creation of man by himself. That is to say, the full and entire conquest of his faculties and his future. It is especially the perfect emancipation of his will. And I would add his or her will. So thank you for those kind words, Eliphas Levi. That gives me a little deeper insight into what is the great work. Yeah, so let's get engaged in the great work, and I'll read the opening blurb for the show today. I just said any guests, I'll try to put a timestamp so that we can know who's here, when and where. And I'm asking the questions: what's the meaning of life? What values and traditions do you have that influence your cosmology or worldview? And what makes you jump out of bed in the morning with passion and enthusiasm for another blessed day, right? The opportunity to think, breathe, work, and explore the emerging new world. So yeah, let's get into it. Domenico already made quite a few comments here in the live chat, so thank you for that, Dominique. Good to see you again, sir. Thank you for joining the program. How are you?
Myself, Frank, doing well. Hope you're doing well yourself.
Yes, very good. Thank you for asking. So you've got some ideas on the meaning of life. Go ahead and share if you're willing.
Well, some of them are just cut and paste. For me, Frank, the concept of life is when I breathe in and out. That's more what is it? I get it. The meaning would be, what do we do while we're in it? Like, do we go to work? Do we become some academic in something? Do we raise kids? That's all in the premise of being in life. My interpretation of it.
Yeah, very good. I agree with you. Breathing is the engine of life, right? It seems that I would imagine that all of the creatures that are experiencing this dynamic thing called life are engaging in some sort of respiration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether they be a fish under the sea or a bird in the air. You said, however, maybe the true purpose here is about recognizing your own gifts and using them to contribute to the world, whether those gifts are playing beautiful music, for others to enjoy, or helping friends solve problems. And you went on to say, I believe, just making things nicer for the people around you. I think you're
Mhm.
onto something there. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, those are some of the things that people might perceive as positive. No different wars could be a part of life. It's the constructive and destructive part of it. Nature does that, so I can't see why us as humans wouldn't play the same thing. Animals obviously show that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we're never an island into ourselves. I mean, that would be a very rare situation. We oftentimes we live among society, and we enjoy the hard work of others. And yeah, I think there is some obligation to contribute to the Commonwealth. At least I grew up believing that. I was raised in the United States of America in Southern California, and I thought that studying, the works of the forefathers and stuff, and some amount of patriotism and selfless service to humanity, I think those things are important. Some may agree or disagree, but I like to think that that's a good way to go about it too. Um,
Those are always usually set up like a pyramid scheme anyway, but it does serve.
Yes, it can. Right. Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching is one of my favorite collections of Taoist philosophies. It's very short. It's only 81 chapters, and in it, he sets forth this idea, and this is where Bruce Lee quoted the Tao Te Ching all the time. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard anything by Bruce Lee, like "Be water, my friend," and all of these types of pithy sayings. Like he drew extensively from the lines of the Tao Te Ching, but one idea that they have in it is like a drop of water in a pond, so the ripple effect. And Lao Tzu said that if we strengthen ourselves, and then we can help strengthen our family. Our family will become stronger, and as our family becomes stronger, then that will help strengthen the community. Right? There'll be a ripple effect, and as the community becomes stronger, then this helps strengthen the state. And as the state becomes, better and more virtuous or whatever, then that will help strengthen the world. And he gave an illustration. They call it Tao, and it's one of the things I enjoy studying a lot. Is the Tao is the way. And I like the Tao because it's the low ground, it's the low lying water, and it accepts anyone from any branch of society and any religious ideal or whatever, or any life pattern. All of that's accepted by the Tao. Like we don't discriminate, and everyone is forgiven when they approach, and they're not chastised when they make mistakes, because it's really the natural way, and it's about growth. But the effect I wanted to mention is just that when the Tao is in the world, people live in peace. There's enough food produced. People have good lives. They don't bother each other, and there aren't any wars. And they said when Tao is taken from the world, when people don't follow the way of nature, then wars are started. People are, subjected to famine and starvation. And he said that war horses are driven onto the battlefield, and even pregnant mayors are made to fight. And that image really stuck with me, that, people could be so cruel in times of battle that they're even forcing horses that, female horses that are pregnant to go into battle. And I kind of feel like the world's sometimes headed in that direction. You go on to say, why do we live life? Why? Because we are blessed with the human body. You could have either been an animal or a fly or a bird, but you became human, and you got this awesome brain to think all kinds of crazy stuff and use it for good or bad. I like this idea. I've only heard this idea recently, like the idea of team evil and team good. So, would you care to talk a little more about that, Dominique?
About what, Team Evil?
Well, no, what you said here, that the human body and then using the mind for good or bad.
Well, we jump into these vessels where we inhabit these vessels. As far as the mind, I think it kind of goes back what Bruce Lee was saying. I guess to be the water, I guess the way the quote was, it's about implying to be flexible both in the mind and body. I get people are going to think like water, like literally the water itself. We can shapeshift. So when we're using the mind, we should be flexible. Shouldn't just be open minded because that could be flooded. It should be receptive. So when we're in these vessels, we should explore all kinds of things. Hence why people say things. You're always constantly learning.
Excellent. That makes good sense. And with that in mind, I've got another little thing I'd like to share here. And so I'll go ahead and pull it up now. It is, I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, but it's called The Famous Little Red Book That Makes Your Dreams Come True. A
Hmm.
clear, definite, common sense plan for accomplishment. It Works by RHJ. This is a good one you can find on the Master Key Society channel here on YouTube. And the basic idea of the book is if you know what you want, you can have it. And I don't know, have you ever seen this book before, Dominique? Do you know anything about it? Can you, is sound level okay? And can you guys see everything okay? Yeah, looks good.
Oh, sorry about that. I was actually on mute. What I
Oh, no
was
problem.
saying,
No problem.
the more on what was spoken there, what you know, and what you want. Want usually means lack. So what you lack, it's not asking what you need. So if you know whatever knowing is, knowing I can know a language doesn't mean I understand it. And you can have. What is that thing that you can have? Some more material, or is it what we're talking about thoughts? A lot of this becomes teachings to manifest it into the material, but most things in the material are mortal, so it's going to eventually expire anyway. But it brings value for the person at that moment.
Right. And I think that's his big idea in this small book. It's only 12 pages long, so it's not really long at all. But he's like sharing it with friends, and it's like, why do you want more stuff? Well, it's, so you can have a better life and so you can help
Mm.
other people. Like a person in destitution and with, excessive material lack is not going to be able to help their family or the other people around them. It says the man who wrote this book is highly successful and widely known for his. Oh, I dropped it. So I'll pull it back up here for a second. For his generosity and helpful spirit. He gives full credit for all of his accomplishment in mastering circumstance, accumulating wealth, and winning friends to the silent working out of the simple, powerful truth which he tells in his work. He shows you here an easy, open road to a larger, happier life, knowing that the greatest good comes from helping others without expecting praise. The author of this work has requested that his name be omitted. Very interesting. And that's right in line with Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching as well, that you help others without expecting anything in return. I think that was kind of Christ's message as well, right? Just be a helpful individual and in service to society. Again, you've got to strengthen yourself in order to do that. He says, what is the real secret of obtaining desirable possessions? He goes on to talk about it for a couple of pages here, but right here in the plan, when I absorbed this, I was already working on my own plan that I called the Aladdin's lamp magical wish list. But it was very similar. I would, and I've been doing this since I was a kid. I don't know, kind of a natural practice of chaos magic or whatever. But just write a few things, and I kind of learned this from my father. I always saw my father doing it. You would just, I always saw my father doing it. He would wear a business. He was a businessman after his military service, but he would keep a little black book in his left top pocket, and he would write down lists that he would slip into the book, like a single sheet of paper with a list on it. And he'd usually have anywhere from 3 to 5 items at a time on that working list. And then he'd strike them off as he achieved them, whether it be something he wanted to do or something he needed to get, you know, similar to the idea of making a grocery list and then going down and picking those things up at the grocery store. But for me, it took the form of writing like entire full length essays on the ideal things, the ideal types of things that I would like to bring in my life. Like I wrote one for finding my wife. I wrote one for finding a good job. I wrote one for getting the house I wanted and the car I wanted and all of these types of things. But I'll share it with you if you're willing.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says the plan. Write down on a paper in order of their importance the things and conditions you really want. Don't be afraid of wanting too much. Go to the limit in writing your wants. Change the list daily, adding to it or taking from it until you have it about right. Don't be discouraged on account of changes, as this is natural. There will always be changes and additions with accomplishments and increasing desires. Now, Lao Tzu would warn you against too much ambition and increasing desires, right? But that's necessarily here nor there. It says 3 positive rules of accomplishment, and we'll get into these really quick here in a second. But first, I want to check to see if we've got any additional activity in the chat room. Okay, doesn't look like it. Looks like we're here by ourselves for now. Um, Backstage is open. I think I pinned the link if anybody wants to join us on the show here today. Just let me know. Um, okay, looking good. So I'll go ahead and hit this back in the stage here. And so, three positive rules. Number one, after you've made this list, you want to read this list of what you want three times each day: morning, noon, and night. Number two, you want to think of what you want as often as possible. And then finally, number three, don't talk to anyone about your plan except the great power within you, which will unfold to your objective mind the method of accomplishment. So that's it. It's a very simple, forthright plan for generating those things which you think would make your life better. So, what do you think about that, Dominique? Have you been able, and I know there's a new age philosophy about, like, manifesting things with the mind into this realm, and there may be something to that. I don't necessarily study along those lines, and I think that they're pulling all of that information from, like, the 19th century and 20th century spiritualists and American transcendentalism, but and they're just repackaging it for a new generation. But what do you think about these kinds of things, like the secret and the plan, and having a wish list?
Um, because I know about signs. Some signs would benefit from that. People that are very structured would benefit from that. People with different types of blood type would benefit from that. But it's not one fit all. For some people, that can actually be like almost a death sentence. That plan. But I
Okay, yeah.
understand that. I understand the ideal of manifesting three by repeating it three times. That thing within that you're talking to, because we're energy beings, you should be able to share with other people. But again, depends on the person. People that are very like born under the sign Taurus would benefit from that sign. That's usually the business sign kind of. Same with Scorpions. But for a lot of people, no, that sign would be a noose over their neck. But it serves. I'm not going to say it doesn't serve. The economy is based on things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I know sometimes people find them in a situation, they find themselves in a situation of dire want. And I actually learned recently that the tourist is one of the most materialistic signs. Like, they like to pull a lot of good things into their life, and they might be prone to chase money a lot and stuff. Um, for me, it's a spiritual journey. I use my lists almost exclusively for self discipline and connecting with gifts of the spirit. Since I was young, there's been a lot of things I've been interested in the areas of the occult, like study of the tarot and the I Ching, which is a Chinese system of divination, and not as much for fortune telling as for self discovery, like finding out what energies I can better work with within myself and that type of thing. So sometimes I'm looking for a rare book or a new method that might help me with a specific problem. And I use my lists sometimes for that kind of thing. But yeah, keeping lists isn't for everyone. I do understand that.
But it's
Um,
useful. But it's useful. Like
yeah,
even
it
the
can.
people that doesn't benefit from them, again, it's about more structure, and it's like anything else. If you're, the concept of being of service doesn't necessarily have to put any word after that. You could be of service to humanity. You could be of service to beings. You could be of service to other realms. Unfortunately, a lot of people want to rule on this realm opposed to be of service.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And um, the interesting thing about the work I've been doing with it for a long time now is sometimes I'll just have finished writing down, like, oftentimes at the start of each session I'll ask for divine guidance, right? Like, I have a specific prayer that I've written based on the Arbitel of Magic, but and you may have heard me use it before in the past, but it's "Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one,"
Hmm.
so on and so forth. But I'll do that prayer and I'll attempt to I'll commune with spirit for a while, do some meditation, maybe light an incense on my altar. I keep altars in all of my dwelling places, one in my office, one in my dormitory, one at my home, and altars in every place that I've lived and where I keep homes. But I'll burn an incense. I like to keep some positive spiritual figures on my altar. And then I'll sit down and I'll write out those things which are maybe coming to my mind from dreamland or something in the world that I'm interested in, or some spiritual progress. But sometimes, like, the dynamic response from the universal energy will be so fast that by the time I finish the list and fold it up and put it in my pocket, things are already happening. Like there'll be a knock at the door and somebody's bringing me something that
Mhm.
I had requested, or a phone call or a message, or in some level of interaction, those things are always brought forth. I'll tell you about a recent testimony, a testimonial, I'll call it, that I had with moving into my new dorm at work. I had moved into the dorm and it was very Spartan and barren, which I typically like. Like I'm a bit of a stoic guy and I like to live on less and have a very clutter-free environment. My wife is the exact opposite, but sleep on a wooden pallet and eat rice porridge all day, that type of thing. Because I grew up with a lot of kung fu training, and we think that type of simplicity is good for the physical body. Uh, Hardships make the thoughts deep, and having no hardships can ruin the being. So, but anyway, I needed furniture for my books, and I needed an additional like bookcase for a clothing, like a wardrobe for some of my clothes, and I needed some things to create greater organization in the dorm because it was, things weren't organized, and I wanted them organized. So I put this thought out, and I did my prayers, did my incantations, I wrote my list down, and within an hour, my wife had messaged me on my phone, and she said, "Hey, I just found all this free furniture on a group on one of her social media platforms or whatever." She's like, "All we need to do is pay for its movement, like go down and pick it up and pay to have it shipped to your dorm." And she didn't even know I was looking for anything. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's how fast it can work sometimes." And she sent me the picture of all of the items, and I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely, those are perfect." In fact, they were of higher quality than I would have bought for myself. Like I was going to go out and buy them anyway. I was just thinking, it's a shopping list to go to IKEA or whatever on the weekend. But it happened so rapid fire with synchronicities that the whole idea of Carl Jung's following your bliss was just like really apparent there. And I thought that was a wonderful experience I would share with you. We do have a visitor in the ideas room. His name is Ray Beers, and he says Frank, or maybe that's Hey Frank. Yeah. So greetings to you, Ray Beers. Good to see you, man. Have you ever had an experience, Dominique, of rapid manifestation of something that you felt you needed in order to empower yourself or help someone else out, or have you been in situations like that before?
Yeah, I'm usually the one on the other end where somebody needs something, and I'm the one that's listening to the universe. It's kind of like Reiki. Energy works that way. Again, the technology that we're manifesting here now is like Wi-Fi. You call somebody, so you get that. Your buddy just calls you before then. If you're the kind that wants to be of service, opposed to the other way around, where you want to, some people are a projector. I'm a projector. I'm not a manifester. So again, it depends on your energy. So we could probably go for bigger items, but again, it would kind of disturb this realm a little bit. But I get where you're going with that, Frank.
I got you. Yeah, no worries. And I work in both directions. Like I'm always, oscillating, right? Life is a yin yang experience.
Mhm.
So you can't just enjoy yourself forever, and you can't just take from the world forever without ever giving anything back. So, and I realize too that I'm the steward of the items that I keep in my care, and that I had my house robbed recently, and
Mm.
the crackheads that broke in there and stole everything, they ended up getting about 25 to $30,000 in treasure that I had. A lot of it I had inherited from my father, and some of it I had collected on my own. A large collection of comic books, some firearms, and stuff like that. So I had to fly back to the States, pretty quickly, and let the law enforcement know that I had been robbed, and that included firearms and a coin collection and quite a few other things. Anyway, I'm not going to get into details, but I realized, that man, I was the caretaker of those things for a time. I was keeping them stored up, and somebody that needed them came along and carried them off. Right. So it's you have to have it like in the Buddhist philosophy. You have to have a bit of an open hand. A bird lands on your hand, and if you grab the bird, then you're grasping at the world. What Alan Watts said, that like you're holding onto a boulder falling off the side of a cliff. You're
Mm.
falling off the side of a cliff, and a boulder's falling with you, and you're holding onto this boulder thinking that it's going to save you. But yeah, anyway, and the things I manifested into my apartment, like these wonderful free furnitures, right? I've got them now. I use them. I enjoy them. But when it's time for me to move on, every great performance comes to an end. And so when I leave that dormitory, I probably will not try to attempt to move those to another location unless that's it works out that way. But I would definitely pass those on to someone else in exactly the free manner in which I received them. And in fact, they're better now than when I got them because number one, I love antique furniture and I spend time cleaning them up very thoroughly and oiling them because they're hardwood, and hardwood, real hardwood furniture is getting harder and harder to find. But I repaired some of the fastenings on them and cleaned them up, and they're all ready, and they'll be in better service for the next person that receives them. So I think that's a wonderful thing. I want to continue with his book just a little bit here, maybe. Um, he says it's obvious that you cannot acquire faith at the start. Some of your desires, from all practical reasoning, may seem positively unattainable, but nevertheless, write them down and put them in the proper place in order of importance to you. So it's about prioritizing too, and helping you get your mind in order. Uh, some of the people who studied this type of science, what they are calling noetic sciences these days, if you've heard of that, or the power of the mind to manifest things into reality, say that it's the RAS, or the reticular activating system, that will bring about a lot of these changes. But he says there's no need to analyze this power within you. Uh, is going to accomplish your desires. Such a procedure is as unnecessary as trying to figure out why a grain of corn placed in a fertile soil shoots up a green stalk, blossoms, and produces an ear of corn containing hundreds of grains, each capable of doing what the one grain did originally. The fractal universe, right? The electric idea of the universe and its ability to replicate itself. This is a really high level of AI, right? If Genuine AI, right? Not the fake AI we're experiencing today. It says if you will follow this definite plan and carry out these three simple rules, the method of accomplishment will unfold quite as mysteriously as the ear of corn appears on the stalk, and in most cases, much sooner than you expected. So it's a really positive, beautiful message, I believe, and that's what I take away from it. Is I drew the tarot card of the star here at the start of the session. And the star to me represents hope and arrival and fulfillment. And it brings to mind the old Latin expression ad astra, which is ad astra per aspera, which means that we will go to the stars, but through suffering to the stars is the exact translation. But it means that, yeah, you got to kind of sometimes put in the hard work in order to get a positive result. Um, yeah. Any other ideas you want to talk about today, Dominique, with the topic of life? Let me check the questions again. So it was, what do you think is the purpose of life, Dominique? Yeah, we haven't even got, we've been beating around the bush for a little while, about 30 minutes now, and we haven't even got onto the topic yet. They say, I heard about on YouTube videos, you're supposed to get to the topic within the first 30 seconds of starting your show. So at least we're there within the first 30 minutes. And do you have some more time for this evening or this afternoon?
Sure, I'm here. I'm here. Usually, when somebody asks a question, they're leading, they should follow up. So, since you put the topic, because you put the word meaning of life, I'm more curious about, what is life. But since you put it that way, maybe you can start by telling me how you feel about that question or think about that question when you
Sure.
posed it. Yeah, please.
Sure. Yeah. Well, part of it, you mentioned the idea of survival, and I think that's a part of it. Like, I was granted this human body. A lot of people call it the meat suit. I don't like that.
Hmm.
I like to think that it's a intelligent. It has the golden ratio and the universal intelligent code within it, and it's able to manifest in this form, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Um, and it was given to me by my ancestors, and I have to take care of it and preserve it, I believe, and pass on that genetic code for the continuation of our human species. A lot of people believe these days that, oh, who would bring a kid into this world? And it's like, well, I don't know what world you live in. I live in a pretty wonderful world. I grew up with a pretty wonderful family. There's been challenges and hardships, but all in all, I think the journey has been worthwhile. And when I met my wife, again, I was practicing magic and I was involved in business and in service to the Lord. And I felt that it was the in the Chinese system, they make it a very clear obligation, right? They expect their children to have children, and they talk about it nonstop. They're like, when are you going to get married and give us some grandchildren? That's part of your purpose in life. And so, am I, as a if it was just all about me, and I'm like, oh, it's just all about me. I want to do whatever the hell I want. I want to stay a bachelor the rest of my life, and I don't want to fulfill natural law. I don't want to give birth to the next generation. That's fine too. Like maybe the way of the shaman is for some people, and maybe they have other plans in the world. But for me, that's a big part of the meaning of life is continuing on for the next generation and bringing kids into the world and attempting to give them the tools to explore. And part of it's entwined with my purpose for coming to China. I wanted to research Chinese Taoism and other systems of qigong and kung fu and stuff because I grew up with it as a kid, and in those traditions too. So some of this may be brainwashing from the traditions, right? They programmed me to want these things and see these things as valuable in society, right? That we're going to need more people in the future, and you might bring some in, and we're going to need preservation of resources and preservation of tradition. So I learned deeply three systems of Kung Fu: Xingyi, Bagua, and Taiji. And I feel that passing those along to the next generation is part of it. There are other skills that I learned, like magical incantations and the writing of talismans. These things are very esoteric and obscure, and not very many people want or need to learn them. But bringing that tradition a little bit forward too is also a part of my purpose in living, right? So the meaning of life for me is in finding purpose. The Japanese call it the ikigai, right? And it's some clever combination between the four elemental spheres that are oscillating, right? Like the purely material, the earth sphere, and then the sphere of air or the mental, and then the water sphere, the emotions, and the fire, the passion. And of course, the spirit, it would be the ikigai there at the center, blending these four Kabbalistic elements into a unique life expression. I was pulled to being a teacher because the things I learned, I achieved mastery in some of them, and I wanted to share them with others. And since I spent so much time in academia, right, like a K through 12 gave me 12 years, and then working towards my bachelor's was an additional 4, and then my master's took me 3 years to achieve. And then I got involved in a doctoral program, which I spent 3 years in, but did not receive that. I'm still technically enrolled in that university, but yeah, I haven't gotten my doctoral thesis ready yet. But still, that's about an additional 9, 10, almost 10 years at academia at the collegiate level. So that's 22 years of education, right? And that, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think people need that much. But at the same time, I also grew up with um, uh, an eclectic family where my father had multiple businesses in Southern California, and my brother was a businessman, and they both did military service. And so every summer I had an opportunity to go and work either at my dad's company or my brother's company. So I worked construction jobs, and I worked on a dealership. And then I took a bunch of, part-time jobs while I was going to college, worked in the food service industry. Uh, and so I got to experience a lot of the various echelons of life from the top to the bottom almost. I mean, we weren't at the top, we were upper middle class, but I definitely went through all echelons. And then in my 20s, when I was in university, my father passed away. And that put me in a position where I had to do everything for myself. I didn't have a family home to live in anymore, didn't have any kind of inheritance, didn't have any money coming in. And yeah, so the meaning of my life, I guess, is continuing the pattern, continuing my father's great work and bringing that forward for the next generation. I don't know. I just, ever since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a dad. So, and it's kind of coincides with today being Father's Day. That's kind of fun. But I think okay. So that was a lot of talking. If you care to interject or reflect, Dominique,
I'm
you
here.
can.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. There's a lot of things going to my head, but I'm hearing you.
Yeah, you can do so. But I wanted to shift away from that. That's all within the material sphere and the realm of society. In studying Taoism, I discovered what I believe to be a deeper meaning to life. that we are spiritual beings living in a physical reality, and these two forces are commingling. So, in the Kabbalistic tradition, we see the lightning strike coming down and bringing life to the world. So you have these primordial material forces on our in our earth realm, and then you have the cosmic mind above. And I've had visions of it through dreaming, and it came to me in the form of Zeus. And this was after my father died, and it was a white golden cloud like the energy of Kether, and it was alive and active, and from within it it was similar to the Hindu idea of the interconnected pearls or crystals. I forget exactly how it goes, but I could see in all directions at once, outward and inward, and I was in with this universal mind. And it came over to the primordial mass like a shooting star, like a comet, and it formed great thunder clouds above the surface, and it shot down into the world in a beautiful, dazzling golden white blast of lightning, like a lightning bolt, just like along the tree. And when that happened, I woke up with a start in my body, and I was like, "Wow, what a beautiful message from the realm beyond! That the cosmic mind, through its interaction with this material form, this material sphere, brings forth life." And so I've had many travels beyond the veil and interactions with luminous beings. I've developed an entire system of dream work based in part on Lovecraft's ideas. Because once I started working on it, I've been dream journaling since I was 13, and now I'm 50. So for 37 years, I've been dream journaling, and I've got stacks of them. So I take it very seriously. But I realized later on, like I guess about a decade ago, maybe a little over a decade ago, that Lovecraft did a lot of work on what he called Dreamland, and I was already calling it Dreamland. I did a you could check one of my YouTube videos from like one of my very first YouTube videos. It's called Adventures in Dreamland or something, and I had been in Beijing for probably 10 years by that time. But
Can I interest you
I
for a second, Frank? Can I interest you for a second, Frank?
Yeah, I
Okay.
realized that I was interacting with a supersensual world and living within it, and that there are spiritual beings all around us. And through the system of Tao, you can build up enough power through Qigong and meditation to astral travel, get beyond the veil, and interact with these people, these beings. I'm not going to necessarily call them people, but these beings of light in a very direct way, like like calling up a good friend or jumping on a bus and going to a different place. And so people spend one third of their life asleep and in dreamland. And a lot of people don't do any work over there. But yeah, that's a part of my purpose in life too, is the reintegration into the spirit realm and going beyond. I believe that I've been there like uh, maybe not the best way to encode it, but people talk about NDEs or near death experiences. I've had three of those that were, required ER resuscitation. So um, being beyond the veil seems to be a part of my purpose in life, and part of the meaning of life is maybe trying to understand it. I think that my channel serves as a platform for spiritual exploration. Maybe not necessarily so much the dogma of the past, but the emerging new understanding of the future. So I welcome any feedback on that. What do you think,
When you
Dom?
hear the word my life opposed to in life, are they different energies for you?
Yeah, definitely. I believe in the foundation of my life is, it's my responsibility to a great extent, and it's the workshop of the subtle origin. So, but yeah, it's not just my life. It's all of our
No,
lives. Yeah,
I'm just asking you about the energy. When you're in my life opposed to in life. I'm only asking because your parents didn't teach you how to breathe. That's beyond the comprehensions of mortal beings. So now you're in a thing called life. That's not you. You're the essence of it. I've been hearing you share, and I appreciate it. You've been sharing your essence while you're in life. That's why when they talk about being taken up in the spirit, prana.
yeah. Continue. Elaborate
But
your idea.
but when you say mine, you're trying to possess it. It's how one speaks. Something inside is trying to say, I'll share out loud. I'm hearing you, but I'm listening inwards. And I'm realizing when a person says it's my life, they're skewing. It's like saying it's your language. You're describing things. You're describing what you receive from thoughts. This is how people keep on constantly anchoring themselves. There's so many things that offsprings, the parents don't teach them. Yeah, we teach them how to be more commerce. That's about selling ideals, consuming information. Most people are attached more in the mental and in the emotion than they are in the physical. Somebody will say, "Well, I don't have that many possessions." I said, "No, you consume all kinds of stuff." So again, it's a word play. It's like when somebody says self-aware opposed to aware of the self. Self-love is pride. Loving the self is something totally different. It's a play on words, but that shift. Once you make that shift and you're going inwards opposed to outwards, that outside world is a distraction. Whatever you've accomplished, it's mortal, but it serves you. You could actually, and you might even serve it. So when somebody says, "I'm in life," you're knowing that they realize that. We say it ever so nonchalantly, but people pick it up. But when somebody says my life, then it must be my wife, my kids. You own nothing in this realm. Even the language we're using stays here. We get to experience it. Some people just observe it. You don't have to experience everything in life. Everything else, if you understand thoughts, you're experiencing it. Now, there's other beings that come here and they get to play and they'll get to channel through other beings. They'll even give a message. Okay, Dominic, Frank is trying to go into the woods, getting all these leaves and all that. We're going to give them the magic they want through life because of their persistence. We read their heart. What goes to the heart? Blood. What is blood? Memory. It's a conduit. Again, everything that we've ever learned, we should be able to strip it to nothing. The more we consume, the more we become indoctrinated. It's a challenge. That's why when I say the meaning of life, what is life? Most people, what they're saying is what I do while I'm in it. So they see movement of the body. That's not life. That's just movement. Then therefore a tree, it moves the leaves. That's not life. A car that moves, it's a movement. Listen to the word movement. Again, I'm playing with words. That's all I am. I'm playing with words. I don't own a fucking language at all. I just say the word just to emphasize on it. But again, that's what we're doing. Now, when we speak, we're going to play sounds and frequencies. The written work, it's so linear. That's just, it's the same idea when you put diodes in the LED lights. It actually entrains the brain. That's what reading does. Doesn't matter what information. That's why I said if there's teachings, usually teachings are inspired and then they come in after thoughts, such as you write it down or you speak it. The reason why we don't really meet that many immortal beings, so therefore we'd have to have recordings. This is why pen to paper is what's called history. It's written down. Again, if a person is willing to strip it completely, because most of us aren't going to understand how Wi-Fi works, let alone how alchemy of language works. We're describing things. I'm calling that steel, but I don't see the word steel. And as I say it in front of somebody else, they'll pick it up through Kabbalah. They'll receive that information. Where is it traveling through? Hence, air, prana, life. I'm just using words to describe the undescribable. Just to play on words, Frank.
Okay, yeah, wow, very good. I would, yeah, like to respond to that a little and
Please.
discuss the ideas. First off, like, so I detect in some way, and again, I use that type of language because
Go ahead. Go ahead, Frank.
I do find myself within my life, and the but and if through the perspective that I've absorbed and understand things, it seems to me a little bit that maybe you're against the idea of anchoring yourself to the world or being anchored to the world. And we are here. I would like to remind you that we have been birthed into the world,
I can
and
intercede, Frank. I'm just
given that
observing it.
opportunity. Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
on, Frank.
I got a few.
I'm
No,
just observing it.
I got about like 10 points I want to cover
Okay,
that
sure, go
about what
ahead.
you said. So for me, the Buddhist idea of nirvana and like being unanchored to the world, it's never appealed to me and I don't use it. So you do need to realize that I'm coming from the perspective of Taoism, where I've had deep revelations and spiritual experiences. So I think that like if I said my life a lot and it sounded like maybe I was speaking from ego as opposed to being in life, that's just semantic. It's just words. It doesn't really touch. It's like my mind trying to articulate something that is unarticulatable, right? Like we ask the question and we want the answer. And so if we keep it at a simple semantic level and within the realm of human ideation, we can do that, but it's still just pointing, and it's not pointing at truth, it's pointing at echoes, right? So my portion of energy is what I mean by my life. I have what's called yun chi, which is my original chi energy that was granted to me from two sources that I understand, or three possibly: the universe itself, like the cosmic particle, and my parents, and the living life force that has come down generation from generation, and imagining all the beings that were required in order to make the opportunity for me to have life is possible. I think that the idea, personally, from a human perspective, the idea of nothingness is an illusion, and it's a Buddhist kind of disease or sickness that within China and within original Taoism, we really were, very, according to the historical perspective of this type of thing, the Chinese people were very insulatory against like Tibetan Buddhism and Indian Buddhism coming in and competing with their more free flowing natural religion of Tao, which it's not a religion. Taoism is more a way of life and an understanding. And even Lao Tzu didn't want to write anything down, right? Like he was he was requested to leave something behind because the world had gone into decadence, and he saw the coming end of the golden era of civilization, and so he was abandoning the central kingdom and he was headed west. And so within our system of traditions, we believe that there was some interaction between Lao Tzu's teaching and the Christ consciousness, that Christ was taken by the three wise ones from Bethlehem and brought to the east, maybe into Tibet, but he received he met with the descendants of Taoism and he received their teaching, and that's how he awakened to the great Tao. Now, that's our understanding of it. I mean, it might not fit everyone, but the quantum non-realities and believing that there is just like this nothingness, that we're all living this single unindividuated life, I don't really, that doesn't fit with me personally. I respect other people that feel that way, but it is my life and they are my children, and I do live within the cosmos. But from a Taoist perspective, I am working to give something back too. Like I take these energies into my kingdom, my physical body, and I synthesize them with what I've already got. Because you can't learn anything new as anything then other than an associate of something that you already have. So you are bringing things into you and coordinating them with those things which you have, and then you're giving them back and out to other people. So I believe there is some usefulness for that. At least for me, I know other people have their own paths, and I didn't mean it, the ideas that I presented to be a debate. I just meant that these were my understanding of the way things work. Lao Tzu does ask or suggest, and others, Chuangzi as well, and other great Taoist sages. And I shouldn't rely too much on their teachings to formulate my own understanding. But I have found that being unmoored like an unanchored ship afloat on the rough seas, I have found that to be, for myself, a little bit dangerous and unnecessary. And I pursued that path a lot when I was younger because I wanted to be the wandering Taoists and the free floating sage, unconcerned with the world and that type of thing. But through like spiritual experiences and revelations, I've I've come to believe that there's more, that the meaning to life is more of that. It's a continuation of life, and it's bringing life to others, and it's also continuing the great life. But then at the same time, it's also reuniting with the spiritual world ultimately, because most people can't escape death. And I think that spiritual immortality is the path with which I seek. And I do that through the cultivation of Qigong and the internal alchemical process and the creation of the philosopher's stone, which is the luminous pearl, which will awaken me to many more things than are just within this mundane world. So I would throw it back in your direction, Dominique, with a simple question. Have you had like it's times of enlightenment and revelations that have come to you? And have you had spiritual experiences that have shown you the world beyond the veil? And if so, are you willing to share some of those and like how they've furthered your understanding?
Thank you, Frank, for sharing. I was just entertaining ideals. I wasn't. I don't make it usually personal. Doesn't serve. But thank you. I appreciate that. You know,
Okay, so you haven't had any, or no, so you haven't don't have any spiritual experiences or revelations that you're willing to share.
on a public platform, I usually just entertain ideals. What I'm aware
Okay,
of and what I've
that's
experienced,
cool.
that's like I said, I just share awareness. I will share what other people do, whether it's Reiki. I was playing with the ideal of the meaning of life. I
Okay,
wasn't. I get it's personal for you, obviously, and I've heard you, and I appreciate you sharing that kind of stuff. You know, to me,
yeah, sure.
I don't debate people. It's a waste of energy.
No, no, no. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's absolutely not a debate.
no,
Just
no, it's not
just
even an
a
argument. Yeah,
no, 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 no. That's not the direction I like
yeah,
to go.
yeah.
But
Like
it can sometimes tend in that direction.
it
Um,
can, but like I said, I'm always hearing other people. I'm listening always from within, and if I feel pulled to share something, I will share it out loud. That's all I
sure,
do.
that's
I
I
don't make it myself because it doesn't serve other people to know, what realm I've been in before, how many times, how many lifespans I've been here before. It really doesn't serve them, because you
okay. Well,
don't
you
go.
you you're from what I understand, if you are a human being, right?
I'm a being having human experience, yes,
Oh,
and
okay.
the
So
thing
then
is,
it is
you know,
filtered through your own brain and your own physical being and your own experiences, right? Even if there are multiple spirits within the cavern, there are various spirits that I'm speaking with, at different times. Do you have any values or traditions that you're interested that influence your cosmology or worldview?
um, I value things before, whether they're a belief system or knowledge. I'm more into wisdom and understanding. But again, I get it. You touched on it ever so lightly. Some of the ones of old, of observer witness, they never wrote things because they understand what the writing skills does to the brain. Again, it's limiting, but it still serves a purpose. The hemispheres, what it does to the hemispheres. Most people become scholarly or scribe. Again, I kind of shared last time. It's usually the mind communicates with the gut. No, so
Yeah, well,
it's not about me. It's humbleness it's not about me. In my own private little world, yes.
sure.
But when it comes to other people, I don't see your senses, you don't see my senses kind of ideal. So we're just sharing ideals, we're sharing words. What's the common thing? Is it the language? Is it the frequency? Is it the sound? Is it our own personal experience? Because I don't know your personal experience. And when I hear it, I don't know all your makeup. I don't know what your blood was doing. I don't know what the liquids were doing. I don't know what the environment was at the same time. There's so many webs going on. For me to explain it it doesn't serve.
Okay,
But
yeah,
again,
Lao Tzu kind of had the same idea, and many great sages throughout history
yeah.
have had that same idea. And when I studied with Ni Huaqing, he was the founder of Yosan University, a school of traditional Chinese medicine. I, I was apprenticed to him and lived in his life and worked as his butler and his assistant and so on and so forth. And I had a very powerful spiritual experience with him and a giant UFO. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Like you said, it might not serve to let anybody know about
Well,
that.
but it's your
But
channel. It's your channel, Frank.
I question. I'd like to finish, please. Thank you. I
Okay.
questioned him about the idea that we shouldn't write anything down, we shouldn't leave any behind because it might distract other people. And to some extent, he agreed with that. And he said, "Yeah, but if we do that, then the world just falls into complete decadence, and then there's never anything of guidance." And he said it's very hard to live close to people that don't have spiritual cultivation, but at the same time, we still have to get into the world and get a little mud on our hands occasionally and mix with the people that don't cultivate themselves spiritually, because otherwise then they just remain cattle, and the world remains in a state of constant warfare and conflict of opinion and stuff like that. So ultimately, you're right, some of this is just human opinion, and it's encoded through linguistic forms, whether it be English or Chinese. Chinese does have its own intrinsic value, though. It's one of the languages reaching back to the very beginning of our human civilization and maybe further. It also does have magical value. And I think that it lends a unique perspective to this path of the shaman, or a spiritual way, like the path of the magi. Um, I enjoy Marcus Aurelius's advice too, that each day we wake up, why not embrace the challenge and enjoy breathing and living and loving and enthusiasm and all those great things that keep a positive loft, levity. It says humor is important, right? If the angels didn't have a sense of humor, they couldn't fly, because levity makes people light. So too much seriousness and too much downward projection, don't you feel like that's a negative system of anchoring, right? Like, I'm not saying that my idea is the right one for anybody else, but maybe within the kingdom of the central kingdom where Taoism was cultivated, and it's taken root in Southern California as well. But I don't know that it's a perspective that serves all, right? Definitely not. I don't think there ever will be a single perspective or teaching that serves all people. That's a little reminiscent of the Quran in my mind. That I've got the ultimate single truth, and here it is. This is the way to enlightenment. I think
Sincerity plays a value, Frank. The negative energy is the feminine energy. That actually what fuels the positive energy. What I said about writing, it's limiting. The oral teachings engages way more receivers than the written work does. But it does serve. They all serve. You can even talk about symbology. They all serve. Numbers serve. Colors serve. They all serve. But a person, if they become aware, but what does it engage? How does it serve within the vessel? We're a walk-in receivers. So once a person realizes all that kind of stuff, I get the silliness and the seriousness conversation. It's a very similar energy if people bring it down to the energy level. The sincerity is, it's a person, are they trying to share information? I'm always the student. So when I share with other people, I'm the one that benefits from it. That person that thinks they're the teacher in the classroom, I said, no, you're the bigger student. You're there to teach your own information. Because in that realm, that unknown realm, that student has many teachers. So those people that, I don't care if it's Alice Bailey and all these, they were students. All of them were students. And they're constantly, when you're in this form, now they can have a teacher that can come in them. That's a different story altogether now. Now we're talking about walk-ins. And again, it's this vessel that we're in. We choose to be in these vessels. We respect all living beings and all the different forms that we go in and out of. Now, that's a tough one because a lot of people like to regurgitate other things. Once you become that witness, the observer, then you realize the experiencer is very limited. And most people will spend a lifetime experiencing things, but forget the language you speak, the thoughts you have. Those are the experiences you're having. That physical is a constant. It's the material. I can give many descriptions to the same object. Once that person becomes aware, that's just awareness. That's all that is. That's just right above knowledge to know things.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah, definitely do work to respect all living things. Do you eat meat, Domenico?
No, I don't eat meat.
Are you vegetarian?
I'm a pescatarian.
Oh, okay. There was a famous rock and roll band called Ween, Ween, Ween,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember if it was on the Mollusk or Bananas and Blow or White Pepper. It was one of their albums though, but
Mm-hmm.
they did a song about the savage harvesting of the vegetables and the carrots screaming out in the night as they were pulled from the ground. And I always laughed about that. And when you're slicing into them and they're in great agony. Oh, I thought it was kind of funny.
Well,
Anyway,
most physical.
again,
Go ahead.
the new age Buddhist beliefs of I think they're a little bit nihilistic in my opinion, and I just prefer the Taoist ones. Like I'm a bit of a savage when it comes to a good ribeye, and I think that type of protein is far superior. That type of energy is far superior for us in our youth, at least as we get older. I
Depends
think that
on
I
your
will
budget.
I will
Okay.
tend more towards vegetarianism and far less meat because it's not as beneficial to you as you grow older.
I get, Frank, there's many diets. So people will say on the superficial level where I'll ask somebody, okay, if you choose to eat meat, are you eating wild game or domestic game? Same with fruits and vegetables. That's the physical diet. What's your emotional diet? What is your mental diet? Are you able to fast 30 or 40 days? And if you do, what are you fasting? What are you breaking your fast with? What are your thoughts? Again, that's very superficial conversations at that point. To talk about the person's diet, there's many diets. Now, that
Well,
diet,
no, I mean,
again, go ahead.
just the idea of respecting all the creatures.
I'm
Some of
not.
them don't.
I'm not
Some
talking
of
about respecting the creatures. Obviously, you're
or,
talking about it.
no, you had mentioned it, so that's why I
I.
brought it up.
I know. I said I'm a pescatarian.
No, no, before prior to that, that's what inspired the. I was reacting to something you had said.
Such as, please share. I'll gladly regurgitate. I know exactly what I said, so please share.
Oh, no, I don't recall the exact quote. I can listen to the program later, and then I'll put it
Please,
down in I'll
please.
put it down in the comments
Yeah.
below. That
But
was
for
like
me, go ahead.
yesterday when I got involved with the other interviewer or interviewee, and he wanted the exact quote, and I couldn't find it. I had to go back and look at it later because
But you
it's
told me what I said. Hold on, Frank. You told me what I
we're in a
said. I've
we're in a
told you
flow
what I
state.
said. No, I
No,
told
no,
you
I
what I
said
said.
I was reacting to what you
Oh,
had said.
okay. Okay, you react. Okay, well, reacting is a good start. Hopefully, responding, hence accountability. I get it. Reacting, but why? I'm asking. I'm just asking.
Because
These
it's
are
the
noteworthy questions.
because it's the way a conversation goes. I say something, you react and respond to it. You say
No,
something, I
hold
react
on.
and
I'm
respond
not
to it. I thought
reacting.
I thought we were here on the premise of polite conversation, but
I
maybe I misunderstood. Yeah, no worries. Just move forward. I'll post. I'll uh, ponder the next question if you like. Like
please.
I was talking about jumping out of bed in the morning and
Mhm.
with passion and enthusiasm. Do you jump out of the bed in the morning with passion and enthusiasm, and or do you feel it's blessed to be with the other people in your life? And um, what are the things that help you do that? Like, is there anything? Is it just the re-emerging consciousness? Do you come back from dreamland with full consciousness of what you experienced while sleeping? So that kind of thing, in addition to adding meaning to life.
I don't have those kind of thoughts. Maybe you can share. Is that what you do actually?
Oh yeah, I'm a dreamer. I go
Okay.
into dreamland and I experience um, the full extent of dreamland, and oftentimes I bring things back. And I believe in writing. According to Rudolf Steiner, in his teaching of connecting with the supersensual and the realms beyond, that spirits will actually gather and watch us as we write. You, for some reason, put forward the idea that it dichotomizes the brain, and I don't necessarily think so. Huang Di, the Qianshi Huang, the Yellow Emperor, that was known by the banner of the dragon in ancient China, he developed a system called the Scholar Warrior, which is what I'm practicing right now, where your scholarly and academic pursuits have to be balanced with a sufficient amount of physical exercise and deep breathing and strength training and all of that, because you really can't have a solid, strong mind unless you've also got a solid, strong body. And so the integration of the spirit into the material, it's essential to balance both sides. So I'm not saying that, spend all of my time engaged in scholarly pursuits, but I
Oh no,
think that
I
both.
was just telling you scholarly. Well done if you're
Yeah,
balanced. I'm
well,
not
it's very
balanced,
important.
Frank. I'm not balanced. I'm far from it. So I was just telling you when a
Hey, we've
person
got,
uses the hemispheres, they're very scholarly when they're using that. But they could be engaged in all those other areas too.
yeah. We've got a new guest backstage. I'm going to ask them if they're interested in the what's going on in the chat. Have you been keeping up with the chat? With the chat, and are you interested in the topic of the show? Yeah, so if you are in backstage right now, please check the private chat and take a moment, if you haven't already, to read the description. It's what's the meaning of life? What values and traditions do you have that influence your cosmology? And I'd like to remind speakers of the guidelines as well. An open conversation about life, the universe, and everything. Be respectful of other speakers. Try to limit response times to a couple of minutes at a time, which I'm not necessarily doing right now, but if I will try to abide by that more. Answer questions with sincerity and genuineness, which I'm absolutely doing. Right? Let's not make it a combative situation. If you join the stow while backstage, please turn your camera on for a moment so I can see the man behind the curtain. You don't have to, but try to minimize pejoratives and explicit language. All right, let's try to keep it above the level of ghetto language as much as possible, and stay away from discussing any topics that would anger YouTube's watchdogs and the algobots. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And looking forward, we've got Jack's evil twin joining us from beyond the veil. So Jack's evil twin, welcome to the show, man. How the hell are you?
Hello, Frank and Dominic, brothers and sisters, or I guess in this
Hey,
case, brothers only. Are there any females here in the
yeah,
chat?
sure.
I mean,
All of us have our anima inside us, so there are
no, I meant in the chat room, not on the stage. I'm
physically
scrolling
female.
through the chat.
I think
Yeah,
Dominic might take
do any
issue with.
women watch this channel? Is what I'm getting at. Is there any? Are
Yeah,
there any women here
there's a few. I don't know if there's anyone
watching?
here right now, but yeah, there's a few women that pay attention. So yeah,
I'm just,
we should
I'm just
we should
trying to
keep
be
it
accurate. Go
we should
ahead,
keep it
go ahead,
female friendly to some extent. Yeah,
go
definitely.
ahead. Yeah. Well, I'm saying brothers and sisters in case there are any sisters watching.
Well,
I'm not sure I could remember all your rules. You have quite a few rules there that you read out before I joined, but yes,
just being
you did.
respectful of each other and
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Let's be
avoiding
respectful.
pejoratives and explicit language if
Pejoratives,
possible.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So how's it going, man?
Oh,
How are you?
okay,
I saw
brother.
you. I saw you this morning
Okay.
on the Jack Talbot show. That was
I
wonderful.
thought you had seen me there because I saw a comment there, so I thought you would know who I am. I thought you wouldn't need any confirmation, but yeah, I was over there earlier, and I
Yeah, I
saw
woke up
that you
late.
had left a comment. You had left a comment, so
Yeah,
glad you enjoyed the show.
I did. Yeah, your interaction with Jack was wonderful. It was a wonderful transmission from Jack's temple deep within the mysterious American West, Northwest, right? The Northwest Passage. How's it going, man? So what's the meaning of life for you? What do you think is your purpose in living and interacting with the prime material plane and the planes beyond?
Well, that's a big question. What's the meaning of life? But I mean, uh, brother, just to be blessed. I mean, if I call you brother, you're not taking that in a Rosicrucian or a Freemasonic way, are you? You're taking it more of
Um,
a friendly.
yeah,
I don't know.
if you call me frater, yeah, but if you call me brother, yeah, then that's just maybe brother in the Lord. Jesus is King.
Do you call
Jesus,
anybody
I,
frater, frater,
frater, yeah, I
frater?
do. I am. Yeah, I'm a
You,
member of, like I told you, I'm a member of like 5 different secret societies. So, absolutely, I have many
within
fraters.
China, within
Uh,
China, they have
yeah,
secret societies.
there's one I've started in China, the Esoteric Order of Dagon, Eastern Star Division. So yeah,
Yes, you did mention that, but the other ones,
I'm the
are they in
Grand
China?
Wizard. No, they're not. They're in the U.S., California.
Oh, okay. So did you join them before, before you moved to China, or
I've
since you?
flown back specifically to be initiated into the OTA and um, the Universal Society of the Integral Way.
Oh,
Yeah.
so is your
Enough.
vision or your view of the meaning of life, is it influenced by being in secret societies? Do you think to an extent, or do you
No,
think that they've?
those are after the fact. I've developed my own purpose and meaning to life. At a very young age, in my teens probably, and started. I'll tell you the reason why. My mother worked at a bookstore. She worked at a bookstore. She was a manager, and I had access to the occult and esoteric book section, and even the self-help book section. But of course, I had access to the entire bookstore, which is I don't know. You're probably familiar with Barnes and Noble,
Yes, I
that
am.
type of thing. Anyway, they had it was basically like a book warehouse, and addition to the Los Angeles Library and the Manly P. Hall archives there at his temple in LA. And so at a young age, I had access to a lot of different types of books, and I was just naturally inclined to study those on magic and spirit and the esoteric arts. And writers from the Golden Dawn, Wayne Westcott, McGregor Mathers, Aleister Crowley, Arthur Edward Wyatt, all of these people had a deep influence on me. I thought that something they were talking about had some legitimacy, or at least I hoped it did. And I thought, if there is any magic in the world, I thought you don't have to do any of this ceremony to achieve it. I thought all you need is the magician's will and the intention, and any incantation or spell or any great thing that you wanted to achieve could be done on the astral plane. And so I started engaging in astral magic when I was quite young. And as a result, I sought out those secret societies who keep initiatory rites to get you beyond the different stages and past the veil so that you could do real work over there, so that you could get into dreamland with full awareness and have lucid dreaming whenever you needed to, right? And that you could do astral travel whenever you needed to, because those techniques and things are not generally available to the average individual. So yeah, it's something that I sought out, and they came in
Great work.
retrospect to my own work. Yeah, the great work. That's right.
Do what thou wilt. Love shall be the whole of the law.
Well, the great work, I like Eliphas Levi's definition a little better: creation of man by himself, conquest of your faculties in your future, and the emancipation of your will. But yeah, love is the law, definitely. Love under will.
The Book of the
So I
Law.
hope,
I was talking about the Book of the Law from Crowley for those that may not know what I was referencing there.
okay, yeah.
I really don't like Levi, but anyway, I caught up
He,
a
he,
little bit with what you
he
and
probably doesn't like
Dominic.
you either. Someone
I
once
caught
said to
up.
me, they said, "Hey,
Oh, go
Frank, I
ahead.
don't believe in God." I said, "That's all right. He doesn't believe in you either."
Yeah. So, are you a believer in God? I think you've mentioned God at some point in
Yeah,
some of your earlier videos.
I think that belief is at the level of intellectual skepticism and dichotomy. So I prefer to think that I know God and I'm in God's presence rather than
Oh,
just believing in a random God. I think that I have some
oh,
unity with God to some extent. I'm
you know God. This is interesting now. How would you define God? Like, what would you say God is, or how? Where's the goodness of God in this realm? Where's the goodness that comes from God here?
mm, well beyond description, obviously, as an omnipotent, omniscient type of force. It has to, I would think that it would play into whatever cosmogony that you experience. So from the perspective of Chinese Taoism, the universe came out of the great void. So prior to anything, we would have a great void. And if you reach out with the mind and try to find, what was going on before the Big Bang, so to speak, then there, at some point, you have to reach a point where human intelligence does not reach, and that would be a void. So that's not God. That's where everything kind of exists in. God would be a latecomer to the scene, depending on what God you're referencing. Um, as the great void expressed itself, it became darkness within darkness. And from that darkness emerged light. And that light has a pattern. It's the golden ratio, it's observable at all levels. It becomes a uh, fractal, what is the word, where all the fractives express themselves throughout all of existence, right? A fractal universe. And uh, the lesser gods, like the elder gods, the ones that are people interacted with in various regions on Earth, and we have records of, like the Roman pantheon, the Greek pantheon, the Irish pantheons, the Chinese pantheons, the Egyptian pantheons. These were collections of astral shens, or what some people would refer to as archangels, right? Within the Christian system, you would have archangels. Within the Chinese system, we call them astral shins. And they would differentiate from celestial shins, right? Celestial beings. So these interacted with the prime material plane at a very early stage in bringing about life through cosmic interaction of spirit with material. Um, the god at the top of this energy egg, I wouldn't reference directly. And like, because I don't want to say, like Muhammad, I've had a revelation and you got to follow this one undifferentiated path. And my way is the most empowering and the most important way, because I don't believe that is true. I believe that the God source, original source energy, would be, using the analogy, an old Buddhist analogy, it would be the downtown area, like the center of a city. It would be that great immortal energy that all creatures strive towards. And there are many pathways to get you there, right? So, like, you could ride, I like to say, you could ride a bike, you could take a skateboard, but the Taoist path is like getting on a rocket and just shooting straight there, or taking maybe a teleporter and getting directly to the source. But other people like devious byways, they like to get mired in the muck and, you know, tramp their way, meandering through the sewage and the low lying swamps. And that's fine. I mean, that might be a filthy, detestable way in my mind, but the people who follow that path enjoy it. I like to think that the Christian society, they do it in a community way, right? They enjoy the fellowship of their brethren, and they sing their way there. and they try to organize along lines that create a stable and friendly society with accountability and that type of thing. I think that probably, I don't know, I think both you and Dominique are following the way of the shaman. That would be my guess, that you engage in shamanistic practices and you're all about expansion of the mind and understanding things from your own efforts and that type of thing. So yeah, that gives you some. I want to try to limit my responses to 2 to 3 minutes, and I hope I nailed it there. What do you think? Did I maintain my 3 minute rule?
I didn't have a stopwatch counting, to be honest. I was just focused on listening, so I wasn't really looking at the clock.
Okay. Yeah, I
Not
enjoy
sure
the
how.
clock because I'm a married man and I got a full time job, so I am bound by the limits of time. But go ahead, respond to that. I mean, what are your thoughts?
A lot of it just sounds like. I mean, it sounds similar to mainstream science in a way. It seems similar to the Big Bang, everything out of nothing, the Great Void, let there be light. The what you're describing seems similar to Christianity and also to mainstream Big Bang evolutionary Sir Isaac Newtonian style mainstream narrative. That's what it sounds like to me, unless I'm missing something. But oh,
As
Louise
part of
is here. Louise has a good question.
as part of the
Interesting.
cosmogony, the start of things. I did take it forward though, and I believe that the we're now in a cosmos that's active and living, and there are guiding forces. There are levels of beings above us and below us, and they're also within us. I mean, I could give you a little more of a breakdown, but yeah, let's talk about Louise's question. If you want to go ahead and read it for us.
Oh, you want me to read it? She's addressing you. But hi, Frank Monday. I'm curious to know what is it you like about Stephen's work. The other day you said you binge watched videos. What did you learn? I would say I don't can't answer the question for him. It's addressed to Frank, but I don't know if he really agrees with anything on my channel. I don't know if he sees things the way that I do. I think his view is very different from the way that I see life, this realm, creation, quote unquote, God, and all that. I don't think. I don't think we. I don't know if we could be more different. It's as different as between me and a Christian, or me and a Buddhist, or me and an Islamist, a Muslim, if you want to call him Muslim.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think the big difference is that, like, I know that I do not know, right? And I think that what I'm synthesizing and what I'm learning about are things that I have a proclivity towards. And to answer her question, I became interested in Stephen's work because I thought he was doing great work. And I listened to a lot of the videos, and I plan to listen to even more in the future. Throughout all of his live talks, Stephen from the Insanity Machine, if you guys don't know who I'm referencing, um, and the question is referencing, his channel name is the Insanity Machine. I even created a banner. And so, yeah, after doing like I don't know, 3 days of binge watching, I had a bit of a bromance. And again, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with everything that the Insanity Machine with Stephen King is talking about, but I gave a response video to it where I had a heartfelt expose on what I thought about it, and I recommended it to my audience, which is very small, but anybody that might be interested in that. I like to think of the YouTube and the channel that I have is like the low lying ground, and I welcome all opinions and interaction with people from different backgrounds and cosmologies and cosmogonies. But yeah, I don't think that we have to agree on everything to interact and do spiritual research together. If we were all thinking exactly the same way, wouldn't we be automatons and NPCs? So I value the fact of individuation, and I think from my perspective and my living being in life, I have to be individuated and have my own ideas on this great universal expression. So I think of my life
Well,
as the
that's
works.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I'm very individualistic. I'm very individuated. I would never join any collectives or groups or secret societies or brotherhoods, fraternities, any of that kind of thing. I would never do that. So we're not only different in that respect, but I think I'm more individualistic based upon that. You seem to be more of a joiner and a follower of these types of groups and sects and mystery schools and secret societies. I would never join any of them. So we're very different in that respect
Good. And
as
why do you
well.
say that? Why do you think that might threaten your individuality?
That's not threatening me at all or my individuality.
No,
I'm
I mean,
just
but you
saying
said
you were I
you
think
would
you were
never
trying to
join.
paint. No,
You don't
you're
enjoy video.
interrupting, but you were
No,
trying to
okay, yeah.
paint me.
Well, I'm trying to
Can you let
respond.
me finish? Can you let me
Uh,
finish? You were
absolutely.
you were trying to paint others as being
Fire winner Eddie.
a, you were trying to paint others as being automatons and stuff like that, and saying how individuated you are, but you also said that you're part of 5 mystery schools and secret societies and that sort of thing. So you're much, much more of a joiner than I am. It's not a threat to me. I just think that you feel a bit insecure with the way you respond. You're kind of going to these jabs and stuff, and other people notice it as well. So I don't know.
Okay, good.
I
That's
I,
fantastic.
I
I
don't think
respect.
you're as
I
secure, Frank,
respect.
as you're trying
I,
to
re-
let on. I don't.
I
I don't think
respect
you
that.
are.
I respect that you feel that. No, I mean you have your ideas, you have your
I
model, and
see that. I don't
I
feel it. I see
I
it.
posted the comment. Yeah, well, you feel it too. You are a feeling, living, breathing human
I
being.
see it.
You're
I
not a
think you go
sage.
by feeling.
You're
You're
not
more of
an
a feelings based.
you're not an enlightened one. I mean, you're not a sage.
Dude,
I don't
there,
feel you to be a genren at this point. Like
there you go with your
you're coming
silly
in with the
jabs.
static,
Very
not
weird.
me. No, you're coming in
Very
with the
weird.
static, not me. And you're trying to turn it around on me. I
No,
said that
no, not at all. Not at
individuation and being
all.
a part of a society
You're kind of
doesn't
mocking and laugh like I
doesn't
don't know. You just
isolate that.
you what?
It doesn't
What did you
isolate
say?
that. Okay, so look at the
You're not a
distinction.
joiner? You're not
Look
a
at the
joiner of
distinction
these
of what you
groups?
observe. You
You're not a
don't have
group
a
joiner?
membership. You don't have a membership with any mystery school, right? And
I
I
would
do.
never
It's
join something. I
totally
would never
different.
join.
And who joins the mystery
It's not
schools? Does the
impressive. It's just
mainstream join the mystery schools?
it
Are there hundreds of
it
thousands of people out there in every nation joining mystery schools like cattle? No, there are not. It's the ones who rise to the top, the most elite of
oh,
the spiritual community. Those are the
here
ones
come
who
the
want to
attacks.
participate
Look at
with
Louise
like-minded
knows.
individuals who have gone through initiations in to spiritual traditions that they're willing to learn from, that they humble themselves before and say, hey, maybe there is something greater than my own mind. Maybe there is something I can learn from the sages of the past. Maybe there is something I can learn from the great illustrious people of our current time, guys like Pope
The
Runyon
great
and
ones,
Matthew
put them on a
King.
pedestal and
Right.
join and
Absolutely.
watch them. Om.
Yeah, the gurus you watch are pretty low level, my friend.
What gurus do I watch? What are you talking
The one
about?
the ones you make videos about on your channel. The guy sitting in the yoga position.
The guy sitting in the yoga position.
Yeah, the ones you laugh about. I know you're
I
having fun,
follow.
man.
You
Your whole
think I
thing is
follow gurus?
your whole premise is to disrupt the panels. That's what you say openly on your channel. I mean,
Oh,
all anybody need do is look at a few of your videos and
I
read
don't
through it.
follow any
I
gurus though.
I think that
The way
your
you try to
esoteric
misrepresent.
is wonderful, but I think that
Well, that's great.
a lot
That's
of the
great.
times,
I don't know that you understand my esoterica series by the way you interact with people.
no,
Like I don't
I'm
know
not
you.
saying that I do. Absolutely not.
I
I
I don't
I
think you
I was
do.
made. I
I
learned
don't
about
think
it.
you understand my channel. I don't think you
I
understand
learned
my
about it
channel.
3 days ago, was and endeavoring to understand it.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic. I
that's
want
something.
to clarify to anyone that hears here and listens and
Yeah, that's all right. Anyway, if you guys are just here to listen to Steven bicker with me, that's fine. You guys can hit the road. My channel started small and it was open. I was opening the platform for people to engage in friendly discussion of these ideas and not to bring toxicity. And just go ahead and cut him off there before he jumps to the go fuck yourself, Frank Monday, right? Like he did with Jack yesterday, or the day before or whatever. That kind of thing. That's really low level vibration and low level frequency. I sought to understand. I sought to investigate and understand and jive with the message he had. And that's the reason I mentioned his channel and gave a huge, like 2 hour review on my breakdown of just the incipient level of interacting with it, just that beginning romance, and why I thought that other people who might watch my channel would also find some life in it and some value in it. But for him to come in and just directly start with taking it down a toxic lane and attacking me and saying that, oh yeah, my model's the best and watch my channel and all of that happy horse shit. I don't find that that's a friendly way of fellowship. And the fact that he thinks that me being a member of various mystery schools is a problem, and that through that I lose my individuation, I think that's a little bit crass and inappropriate, and it's disrespectful to the tradition that I follow. So, as a representative of the Church of Hermetic Sciences and the Universal Society of the Integral Way and the Temple of Astarte, um, I don't know. Like Jesus with the bullwhip, just whipped the money changers out of the temple. That doesn't necessarily have a place here. It's always an open discussion for people who are putting forward their ideas in a manner of fellowship, camaraderie, and friendliness. But when it degrades to the level of Donghor, just 1 minute, okay? Say Donghor, when it degrades to the level of just like, here's what I think you're doing. You're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, what? How did the conversation go in that direction? Um, yeah. So, uh, anyway, it's not worth it. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the effort. And it's not worth um, giving a platform to. Yeah, I should drink some water. Anyway, time for an intermission, guys. My wife's calling me, so I got to take the phone.小鸭或者叉烧，我不要那他妈的舌头，我不喜欢那破玩意儿。 All right, all right, all right. Welcome back. How's it going, guys? I had to take a call from my wife. She wanted to know if I wanted some pig's tongue. Is that something that you think you would want? Would you want some pig's tongue? She likes to buy me crazy shit from the Chinese supermarket, like pig's tongue. Um, yeah. So welcome back, everyone. We were having a bit of an interaction. The topic of the day didn't seem to be discussed. My question was, what's the meaning of life? I wanted people to try to kind of keep it civil, but keep King Stephen and his Sanity channel, his intended purpose, as openly stated. You can go watch any of his videos, and I recommend that you do. He says that his intent purpose is to disrupt other people's channels. And again, I didn't know anything about the panel verse, and I don't really understand it. So I don't have a paid SteamYard account, so I can't really control like who comes on in the interaction. I can control the interactions with them, but if someone's just going to come in and start attacking like my choices in life and trying to belittle them, I don't really feel that to be a useful level of interaction. I'm here for spiritual growth and sharing of techniques and talking about stuff in a spirit of camaraderie and openness, not just getting into like Jerry Springer level shouting matches at each other. That's that's fun for some, and it definitely pulls views, but it's not really something that I want to do. So I'll get back in here to the book at hand. If you guys want to join me, just jump in there, and I'll talk to anybody who wants to join, except for that bag of dick tips that just wants to fucking talk shit to me, which I don't really find any kind of fun. When I talked a gang of positive shit about him, and so his response is just to talk a bunch of shit and be a fucking an AI, an asshat, and an idiot. So yeah, that's real AI right there, guys. You saw it firsthand. When desires deserving position at or about the top of your list come to you, then you may rest assured you are progressing correctly. Removing from your list items which at first you thought you wanted is another sure indication of progress. So if you weren't keeping up, this is RHJ's famous little red book, It Works. It makes your dreams come true. In Pathways of the Magi, I called this the Aladdin's Lamp Magical Wish List. I found this book, It Works, after I had done some exploration on my own and developed my own system of manifestation for things using chaos magic and other forms of in the wizard's will and magical intention. Let's see. We've got some comments by Drink Water down in the box here. We also had a Lewis O'Brien. So Lewis O'Brien wanted to know a little more about Stephen, but this is an open chat about the meaning of life. It's not about individuals and their channels, but I'm always happy to host that and be a voice to that. Seems that Lewis and Dominica are probably friends of Stephen's, and they all have a little bit of the Canadian accent. So I don't know why Canadians always feel like they have to attack Americans, but that's okay. You know, it's funny too. Like if Canada ever really picked a fight with the U.S., how ridiculous. Drink Water thinks that mystery schools aren't that great. They're just gang members. So he or she doesn't know anything about them, hasn't joined one, and isn't interested in doing any research. Yeah, at least he decoded the little 2013. He figured that one out. Good. How about the rest of it? Can you figure out the rest of it? Lunar Light Entertainment? Because you're on the right track. You're on the right track. Let people who have eyes to see, and those who do not will remain blind forever. Let's see here. Limited hangouts. Yeah, definitely. I never knew what a limited hangout was. But I was fond of watching Richard Dolan for a long time. But Richard Dolan stopped posting. Like he doesn't really do any any posts that much anymore or on YouTube, because he has a limited hangout where you have to pay like a monthly membership fee. I've got buymeacoffee.com, which you don't have to pay anything. You can go over there, check it out. You can read more about me and what I've got going on. And if you're here on the Frank Monday channel, I would think that you might have some interest in me, but that's just my own ego, right? Edging God out. But I always do appreciate the idea of a one-time donation that will get you lifetime membership to my Buy Me a Coffee the page. And the only thing I really do with it is I post behind the scenes pictures and meanderings, essays, that kind of thing. And then it creates a mailing list where I'll send you an email like once or twice a month, just letting you know what's going on with me. How can you discuss the meaning of life if you don't address reality? Yeah, fair question. You can absolutely enjoy your life without trying to get a intellectual understanding of everything that's going on around you. That's the mystery, right? You can't just let the mystery be the mystery. I'm all about looking into the mysteries and finding clear techniques that will create greater spiritual understanding. But has Stephen offered me one concise sentence on that rather than just his opinion of what reality is? A human opinion, his limited, individuated human opinion about reality, is not of much value to my path. It might help you guys, and it might be of great value to your path and your understanding. I was interested in it. I thought he was doing good work, but obviously, like, showing interest in him just led to a series of attacks by him, and like him bad mouthing me on his channel. I don't get that. Like, I thought we could be friends and, like, do fun things together. Jack Talbot seems a lot more welcoming and a lot less judgmental. Steven just seems like a big old dickhead now at this point, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, and it's irrelevant. I mean, so be it, right? I showed interest in him, and he showed interest in me by being negative. So not a big deal. Let's see. Drink Water has another question. And nice reminder there, Drink Water. I like that name. I've got coffee going on. I probably should open a couple of bottles of fresh spring water. If you don't know the meaning of life, why do you take money to teach others? Number one, I don't take money to teach anyone. In fact, most of my spiritual teaching is done for free. I have a weekly meetup that I do with other like-minded individuals where we discuss esoteric ideas and we study things like the tarot, the major arcana, and we study the I Ching and other types of books that were left to help us decode this reality. I like learning about new things like numerology. Obviously, it looks like you're into numerology too. You figured out that 33 pretty quick, but it was in 2013 when I launched Lunar Light Entertainment. So, I mean, that's just a synchronicity. Um, I do, from my own perspective, I do know the meaning of life. I think that it's about the integration of spiritual energy into the material realm, right? Coming to the realization that we are spiritual beings living material lives, and that we have a greater, longer life and a greater, more valuable life in a place that in the Taoist community we call the timeless homeland. And it's not something that you can just understand intellectually. You have to learn real tools that will help get you there, right? Like, you have to learn how to astral travel and project out of the body in order to get beyond the veil. And greater meaning of life will be revealed to you as you develop those skills and talents and gifts of the spirit. We've got another little comment here from the water drinker, and he or she, I don't know if you're a he or she, I don't guess it really matters. All right. And everyone listening, something about mystery manda. I can't even read that, man. Yeah, it's not about learning something special or secret. It's about fellowship. It's about getting together with other magical practitioners and people within the community that do pay their respects to things that are greater than the individual, right? Like, there are temples all throughout this realm. There are ancient buildings and so on, and there are ancient books, and you can only get access to those if you are proven trustworthy, and you're able to do things like project out of your body, and you've done some of the hard work that requires rising up a level in the matrix, right? You got to level up in the matrix. If you keep yourself on the level of an NPC, then you're probably not going to be welcome in those circles, which is fine. You know, some people like to go, some people don't. That's up to you. No, these are all American, based in the United States, and they're based on the Western mystery tradition. But the Western mystery tradition is based on a careful examination of the Eastern mystery tradition as well. So I am a practitioner that works within the central kingdom of the celestial dragon. All right, guys, we're headed close to the 2 hour mark. So I think we got about another 20 minutes if another guest would like to join me. I don't know if Water Drinker is interested or not, but they are out there in the chat having a good time. I appreciate that. I welcome you to participate if you like to. If not, that's okay too. I do want to do some reminders here, guys. Welcome, Wizard, Warrior, Wanderer, Wayfarer, and Wildcat alike, wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission. This is an open lines, open chat panel discussion about what's the meaning of life. I'm broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking. It's getting about 2 p.m. here, so I'm rapidly running out of time, but I would be willing to host another guest if there's anybody out there in the ideas room or out in Happy Land that would like to join me. If not, I will just continue to finish off what I started, which is a little quote here by Eliphas Levi. The great work is, before all things, the creation of man by himself. That is to say, the full and entire conquest of his faculties and his future. It is especially the perfect emancipation of his will. So there are quite a few things going on in this quotation here. Number one, there's the great work. So do you know what that means? Are you interested in the great work? Right? And he gives a little bit of a definition of the great work. So in practicing the great work, some people point to the Freemasonic number 33. And that's not something that the Masons created themselves. It's something that they discovered, that there are 33 years in the life story of Christ. There are 33 bones in the human spine, and there are 33 levels of raising the Kundalini or serpent sexual energy, the Jing Qi, from the lower material realm up the spine and in to the celestial Dantian, where you can receive enlightenment. That's the conquest of your faculties. Now, how does arriving at enlightenment help you have conquest over your future? Well, number one, it gives you the spiritual power to manifest things into your future and to manifest a future that may be better than if you don't do the great work. That's a big part of it. Emancipation of your will means that you're not limited by things like astrology, the zodiac, fate, and other situational type things, right, in the material sphere, that you're emancipated, that your will is your own, and you can use your magical will to create the life you want. So with that said, we do have someone chatting away in the ideas room, but we do not have any willing guests backstage. So I'll repost the link here so that anyone who is interested in joining, it is pinned. All you need to do is put that StreamYard link into your browser, and you can enter into the ideas room, and I'll bring you on board, and we can talk about the meaning of life. And of course, everyone's going to have their own individual opinion on what that is. I find a lot of the Hinduism and Buddhism to be far too limiting for a broader perspective. That's why I tend towards things like esoteric Christianity and Rosicrucianism and Eastern Taoist philosophy, because just for me personally, it's a lot more freedom inducing, right? I don't want to be limited by this nihilistic belief of, embrace the nothingness. You are one with everyone. That's fun, but it's not necessarily what I think the meaning of life is. And maybe you do, right? So I do see Carl Florin in the back room. Carl, have you read the topic of the day? And do you agree with what has been laid out there, that we are to have a polite conversation, an open conversation. We'll try to limit our response to a couple of minutes each, and responding to each other with sincerity and genuineness, and then minimizing pejoratives and explicit language. Um, I'm not going to say motherfucker too much, and if it does become violent or toxic, then that would end our interaction. All right, cool, awesome. Thank you so much, Carl. Carl, good to see you again, man. How are you?
Hey Frank, what's going on, man? I just saw you guys
I
having a
cannot
little
hear you.
bit
Are
of
you still
chat.
muted? Or
Oh
am I
shit!
just not able to hear you?
Hold on, hold on.
Let me see. Maybe the
One
chat
second.
can hear you. Maybe I have a problem with my sound board.
Hold on one sec. One sec.
Um, can you guys hear Carl?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop.
Shit.
Can you hear yourself, Carl? Are you listening to your
I
feedback?
hold one sec. Give me just hold on.
Yeah, it shows that.
Hold on.
No, it shows I
Can
can.
you hear me?
Yeah, YouTube can hear you.
Shit.
Can you hear yourself, Carl? Are you listening to your feedback?
Hold one second.
Oh yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah, absolutely.
What about now?
Now it's gone. It's gone quiet again. Yeah, not to worry. So Carl, I think, is having some audio issues. I double checked. It sounded like he might have been broadcasting to YouTube, but I couldn't hear him. No, I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. No. I don't know if you can hear me, but no, I can't hear you. Um, that's all right. I'll just double check. Boo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. I'll try to prevent creating dead air. It might be on my end, so I'm going to go ahead and double check. Let me load it up on YouTube and see if it was if you were if you could be heard on YouTube. Because no, I can't hear you now either. I don't know what's up, Carl. Wow, yeah, I'm having internet issues. It says, yeah, I heard you for a second. Hello, hello. I'm having internet issues. It says, let me check. Yeah, hello. So on in their ancient towards things like he's. You can hear yourself, Carl. Are you listening to your? Hold on 1 second. Oh yeah, now I can. Yeah, it says that you were. It shows on my YouTube channel that you were broadcasting. So it's my end. Maybe I'm gonna reboot. I'll be right back. Stage. At the stage. How about now? Go ahead. Hello.
What about now?
No, it's still it shows your sound bubble, but for some reason I can't hear you over StreamYard. That might be my fault.
Huh. Yeah, no, I see.
Audio. Reduce mic background noise. My mic looks good. Guests. Automatically adjust mic volume. Reading room guest view commands. Play sound when guests into. Don't know why, man. Kind of a bummer. Try to add you again. Go ahead. I'll toggle your switch. Hello, Carl.
Yo.
Mm,
Can you hear me now?
wonder if there's anything I'm doing wrong. Okay, here's what I can do. I can no, that'll give me feedback. I would have to have it on my earphones. Maybe my Bluetooth connected with something. Anyways, guys, technical difficulties. Here's what I'm going to do, Carl. You go ahead and talk about what you think the meaning of life is for a minute, and I'm going to try to see if I can figure out things on my end.
Does anyone hear me at all? Yeah, the audio is definitely not working on his end or there's some very long lag for some reason for the audio, but not the visual. All right, we'll try it later. Frank, if you hear this later, we'll chat later. Take care.
All right, that was strange. So the audio plays fine for him, but then I just couldn't hear his audio. All right, that was strange. I just couldn't hear his audio over StreamYard. So I don't know why that is. I double checked all of my settings. I rebooted. It was working fine for him, but it just didn't seem to allow him to communicate with me. So if I can't hear him, then I can't talk to him, right? And I can't keep the YouTube window open in the back because that would just that would cause feedback and echo. So that was kind of a bummer. Carl, if you're still around, man, you'd like to jump back on, we could try again. But I don't know. It's probably something with my laptop. Maybe I got a malicious intruder somewhere, or so I didn't touch any buttons, so it's nothing I fucked up. But maybe it was sometimes when you do the present button, because I'm operating off of the free version of StreamYard, and if I hit the present button and then unpresent, or sometimes it causes trouble. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's bandwidth. Who knows? Anyways, good fun. I had fun today, guys. I enjoyed talking to Dominique. He got a little bit combative too. And don't push your politics on me, guys. I'm not interested in that. If you've got an idea and you want to share it and talk about how it influences your life, do that. But then don't start attacking me for talking about my ideas and how they influence my life and why I think they're good. I was trying to pick up some of the Sanity Machine's ideas because I thought they might be serviceable to me. But it turns out that the man behind the curtain is a bit of an asshole, and it doesn't seem to really be that serviceable. And even if he wants to be like a dick or a trickster and do it in a fun way, that would be cool. But like trying to make the energy all toxic and estranged and like pick flaws in me, I mean, that's not the way to go, I don't think. Um, so yeah, if you guys are interested in Taoist cosmology and esoteric Taoism and stuff like that, like Hermetic sciences, then do some research on that, Kabbalistic sciences, and if you enjoy magic and that type of thing, that's what it's all about over here. It's all about doing spiritual exploration and discovery in the spirit of fellowship and camaraderie, not in like, oh, we're in here to battle and have a Jerry Springer show. That's cool for the panel verse or whatever, but it's not really something that I'm interested in because I don't like the gross feeling that it gives you. I'd rather walk away from a fun talk. It's like even Jack Talbot, where you feel uplifted a little bit and feel like you're making progress, not that you're falling into, what are these guys calling this place? Prolonging the pain. Let's look through some of this. Free gift from God was here. Good to see you, man. Fucking mad love to you. Much love to you, my man. Out there in Happy Land. He says, cults make you feel special and love bomb you. Oh, hell no. Like, I'm not in a cult, man. A secret society? The OTA? Do you fucking know anything about the OTA? Obviously not. Like, they're not gonna love bomb you. You gotta pay your tuition. You gotta work on you gotta work on your studies. You gotta go in there, astrally and chat with those guys on the spirit realm. They're not just gonna let you walk in and love bomb you. Fuck, man. It's not a cult. We're not looking for you to join. We don't even want you to join. If you want to bring yourself up out of the shithole that you're in, and if you want to make better of yourself, if you want to get control of your faculties in your future, then you're absolutely willing to join. But like the Freemasons, man, they don't go out recruiting people. You have to seek them out and seek initiation. he says that understanding Christ's sacrifice and the alchemical marriage of Christian Rosenkreuz and the fermentation and birth of the Philosopher's Stone is a cult. No, it's not, man. It's a spiritual alchemical process that takes place whether you understand it or not. You know, if you're a good person and you strive towards goodness, then you will arrive at the Philosopher's Stone and spiritual immortality. But if you don't, if you're on team evil, like a lot of these guys seem to be, then you're just going to spiral down into becoming a hungry ghost when you die. And upon your death, you will not receive immortal spiritual life. You'll be shit out of your asshole and become a hungry ghost. So it's not my opinion, man. It's just brass tacks. It's the facts of life. This guy says, if you follow Aleister Crowley, you're prolonging the pain. Yeah, you've done very little research into the topic, drink water, and you know next to nothing about it. In fact, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground, and you're just listening to what other people have been force feeding you. You're not on the spiritual path. And hopefully you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps, though, and get a real job and become a productive member of society instead of just hanging out on the internet all the time. I did this because I thought that it might be done in a spirit of fellowship and cooperation, not in one of, oh, I've got more subs than you. Let's attack this guy. Let's download his video and talk a bunch of shit about him. But I should have seen that coming, right? Anyways, guys, I will head off into the abodes of the future. I have enjoyed being with you, and I think the time is now to join the 100-day magical challenge, Way of the Scholar Warrior. You can learn more about it at the coffee website, so don't be afraid to do that. And as always, I've been your host for the hour, Frater Francis Lunas Aristeas Ordo Templi Astarte at al. Right? Frank Monday of Lunar Light Entertainment, everyone, wishing you a wonderful day. So welcome to everyone, whoever you are, wherever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission, broadcasting to you from the central kingdom of the celestial dragon, Twilight Zone, Old Peking, wishing you well, wayfarer, on your journey into the future ad astra, and good magic.